Oh, yes, Rodriguez, yes, it is a hassle and a mess. It's all an educated guess, and I suppose that's why we're here, to question. And joining me live tonight, of course, for the first time on radio, I think, you'll correct me if I'm wrong there, is probably the most recognized faceless icon on Twitter, Unseeing Eyes, who's a mystery to some and more than interesting to his audience of about 15,000 people on Twitter, some of who believe he's actually a she. So what do you say we find out? Unseeing Eyes, are you with us live?
Yes, I am. I could clear up the first question for you. I might be like trapped in a man's body, but I'm definitely a man.
I was going to say, I suppose that answers that. Man, it is so great to speak with you live on air, and thanks for taking the time to be here on Aware Talk Radio. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the Twitter universe that's good to hear your voice.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I also appreciate that tremendous introduction. It made me think about Shakespeare, of course, but then it made me think about the Odyssey and the Iliad, and when songs were literature, and literature was experienced, and it was more of an oral tradition rather than a written tradition.
Well, let's start there. I mean, digitally, isn't that, what do you see that's happening on Twitter when we're writing this stuff on a daily basis? Do you still see that as telling the story like Shakespeare did, or is it just a mess now?
Well, I wrote a piece called The Evolution and Digression of Words. And unfortunately, in today's society, I believe that words do not have their value, do not have their weight, because vocabularies are shrinking. About 50 years ago, the average working vocabulary was 500 words. Today, it's less than 250. So that means that if you could speak 250 words in any language, you could communicate and understand those people. But today we hear people say, I love Coca-Cola, or I hate this, and words no longer have their power, their meaning. I'd like to just discuss hieroglyphics for a minute. Sure. Hieroglyphics, and, we found the Rosetta Stone, so we could translate hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics were experienced. There is no one-for-one translation. There is no one picture to one sentence. Those were experienced. People stood in front of those walls, acted those scenes out, and once we started to write is when we really started to weaken our ability to communicate. And in today's society, not only do we use words incorrectly, but we no longer even define words the same. And I think that Twitter, email, instant messaging, all of these things are simplifying our language, shrinking our vocabularies, and hence simplifying thought, which is very, very dangerous. And we could tie that into to empathy and what's going on in the world today and how people are feeling. And I think that a lot of the frustration might stem from that we are experiencing many things that we cannot articulate and cannot put into words. And if we cannot put things into words, we cannot frame our thoughts. And this is a real problem.